In today's video, I want to talk to you about growing sweet potatoes. Yes, sweet potatoes. I had never grown sweet potatoes. Well, let me tell you about my experience with growing sweet potatoes. Stay tuned. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I hope you will like and subscribe. Subscribing to a YouTube channel is free. This channel does videos about different topics, and I hope it's things that you'll enjoy and encourage you. Hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when the next video is published. Now to today's video. In late spring, early summer, my next door neighbor offered me some sweet potato slips. I didn't know what to do with them, but he told me to plant them. He said make sure to plant them in an area where they had plenty of room to grow. Well, I didn't really have an in-ground garden. I only had some garden boxes, but I had a spot between two blueberry bushes that I thought I'd put one of these slips. I also planted one in the front of my house in my shrub beds. Now, you know you live in the country if you've got sweet potatoes planted in front of your house with your shrubs. But I did it because I do live in a small town in the middle of nowhere. I also planted one plant in the back of my house along the side of my house where I transplanted a fig tree lately. I knew I would be watering that spot a lot. Well, now that it's almost the first frost, I thought it was time to go out and dig those sweet potatoes. Now, the one on the side of the house that was between the two blueberries, when I got over there, I realized that something had eaten all the leaves. A bug, an insect, something had eaten all the leaves off this plant. But the vine was still there. So I began to dig where the vine was growing into the ground. And I was shocked at these beautiful sweet potatoes that I got. I was so impressed. I did nothing to those sweet potatoes but plant them. I didn't water them. I didn't do anything but plant them in early summer. And these are the sweet potatoes I got. Now I went around to the front of my house where I told you I planted them by my shrubs. The plant had gone crazy at my front porch. I was almost getting embarrassed how big the plant was. It reminded me of something. Remember that movie Jumanji where the plant's taking over the house? Well, that's what it reminded me of. Well, I just was getting so embarrassed with how big it was growing. And my husband even thought I should let it grow a little more because he said the longer I let it grow, the bigger the potatoes were going to get. But I couldn't wait. I went ahead and dug that thing up. And here's what I got. Well, isn't it strange? The one in the front of the house where the vine was beautiful and large, I got these tiny sweet potatoes. And the one I planted on the side of the house that got no attention, but was between the two blueberry bushes, it was very sandy over there and dry. But the potatoes I dug in that area were larger. There were fewer potatoes, but they were much larger and better potatoes. The potatoes I dug from around the fig tree were about the same size as the one that I grew over by the blueberry bushes. I neglected to get a picture of those. Well, my takeaway from my first attempt at growing sweet potatoes is that the sweet potatoes do much better in that dry, sandy soil than they did in the bed in front of my house near the shrubs, where the soil retained moisture and was actually, I think, better soil. Now that I had my potatoes dug, I remember an old timer telling me that the day you dig your sweet potatoes, you can't eat them. They have got to cure. Curing means to put them somewhere for 10 days to 2 weeks and let them sweeten. They will become sweeter if you let them rest or cure. Also, their skins will become tougher and make them able to store longer. I went online and I saw some suggestions on how to cure these sweet potatoes. I liked one idea of putting the potatoes in a plastic bag that you get from Walmart or Kroger. Put them in a single layer and tie the bag, but then poke holes in the bag and put them in a warm, sunny window. You want kind of a greenhouse effect. It suggested 85 degrees for 10 days to 2 weeks. Well, it has been fun growing these sweet potatoes. Since my neighbor gave me the slips, I enjoyed it. But I think next year I'm going to do it differently. I've been online looking for easier ways to grow sweet potatoes, and hopefully I'll get a better harvest. What I plan to do is make my own slips by following this suggestion, putting the potato horizontally in water and letting it sprout. Once I have some pretty good sprouts, I'm going to cut them off, hopefully with a little root attached, and then trim off the lower leaves. I'll transfer these cuttings to a jar of water that I'll keep in a sunny window all winter long. And hopefully, when the soil warms up in late spring, these little cuttings will have large roots, and I can plant them directly in the soil. And I think I'm going to use that sandy spot out by my blueberries again. I think doing it this way, I should have a better harvest. I think next spring I will also try growing some sweet potatoes in containers. I saw a wonderful video by Rob Bob's Aquatic and Backyard Farms. Check out that video. I think I'm going to do what he did next year. I'm going to plant some of my slips, or at least one slip, in a container, and then have a trellis above the container. So my green part, my leaves, will grow up the trellis, so I'll be growing vertically. And then my potatoes will be in the container. I love the idea of growing your garden vertically. Well, I'm really excited for next spring's garden, but this is something that I'm going to be starting very soon. After the holidays, I'm going to take some of those really skinny, pitiful potatoes, and I'm going to lay them horizontally in water and try to create those slips. I'll then be cutting the slips, leaving a little root, I hope, and then when enough root is established next spring, I'll be transplanting those into my container, into that side bed between those blueberry bushes. I hope today's video has encouraged you to do some gardening even this winter by taking some sweet potatoes, laying them on their side in some water, and trying to create your slips that you can plant next year. It seems like growing sweet potatoes is not that hard, and you don't have to have a big area if you try the container and that trellis idea. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you will give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Until next time, bye.